strontium question has come up a lot, and algae cal in particular. Do you have an opinion on algae cal?
Read my blogs on the strontium.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go to strontium first, and then we'll do
Okay.
a. So the strontium is twice as heavy as a calcium atom is, and so when you put that strontium into your bones, it automatically looks like you've gained bone density. So my thing is, why do that? We're already confused on the bone densities as it is. We never know if a person's really unless they've really improved their bone density a lot, like 0.4, 0.5, we don't really know if they're improved. But if we do a strontium, now we really don't know if they've improved. And I just feel like we can change that person's body so much better if we know what's going on, if we know where we're at. And if we're changing things for the good, the calcium's going to do its job. So no, I am not a strontium advocate. It's only ever been really proven that it decreases fracture risk in people 80 years and older. And that is strontium renylate, not strontium carbonate, citrate, whatever the other ones are. There's not been any good studies on them, and there never will be, because the drug companies are never going to do a study on strontium that's not a patentable strontium. So we're not going to see it. As far as the algae cal, that's the company that says your money back after 6 months if it's not improved. And to me, that's nobody's going to get a bone density after 6 months because it costs too much to get a bone density. And if you get your money back, if they get your money back at $300, that's what it costs to get a bone density. So the company knows that that's their way of kind of saying that it works. There's no magic out there. And algae cal is not any better of a calcium than any other calcium. The only calcium that I would say that is a little bit inferior is calcium carbonate, but calcium is not where you should put your money. We should all take supplemental calcium, but to look at calcium and say that that's where we need to make the biggest impact to improve our bone density, you're missing the boat. That's part of it. Vitamin D is part of it. Vitamin K is part of it. Decreasing inflammation is part of it. Those are way more important actually than cramming tons of calcium down your throat.
So then what about the study of the Journal of the American Heart Association that found that calcium supplements may significantly increase your risk for heart disease? Plaque buildup.
That's not completely true. I don't know if you're referring to the Boland and Lee from Down Under. And number one, those studies were shown to be not the best in the world. Number two, remember in 2001, I think it was, with the Women's Health Initiative study that said that estrogen was terrible, and all those women got off of estrogen, and all those women were hurt by it, because that study looked at 0.625 milligrams of estrogen. It was done on women that were smoking, on women that were overweight, on women that were over 65 years old, a lot of them. And then they made a decision that said that estrogen was terrible. Estrogen is not bad. It's just we need to use lower doses than 0.625. We need to use it in women that are less than 5 years or less after menopause, not people that are 15 years past menopause. So all those things are really important to look at. We threw the baby out with the bathwater. The same is happening here with the calcium studies. Yes, it's true. We shouldn't take 500 milligram boluses of calcium. It can spike blood calcium levels, and spiking blood calcium levels is not a good idea. But if you take 200 milligram doses throughout the day, you're not spiking blood calcium levels, so it's not going to hurt you, and there's not going to be a heart issue with that. Especially if a person's taking vitamin D and vitamin K and trace minerals at the same time. It's when researchers take one thing,
isolation, right?
and then they blow it out of proportion. And
Well, I mean, so many women were taking the 1,200 milligrams of calcium. I mean, that was the protocol. It's like, you go through menopause, this is what you have to do.
600 in the morning and 600 in the evening. Well, that's not good to do.
Right. So you're saying 200 milligrams throughout the day, what, 3 times?
I think if you eat a good diet with lots of vegetables, even if you're not eating dairy, you're eating just a little bit dairy or whatever, 600 to 800 milligrams of calcium is all you need to take, because you're going to, you usually have 1,200 to 1,400. You lose about, your bones break down and they lose about 500 milligrams of calcium each day. You actually lose through your urine, ends up being about, well, depends on the person, but you really end up only losing from your body about 200 milligrams after the kidneys resorb things and things like that. So if we were completely efficient in everything, we'd only really have to take in 200 milligrams of calcium. Well, that doesn't work because calcium absorption is pretty poor, all the different things that go into it. So we really should take, especially if we have osteoporosis, about 1,200 milligrams. But most of that you can get from your food, but everybody should take 500 to 800 milligrams max of calcium, just to make sure that we got it all.
Okay. Heavy metals and bone and osteoporosis, is there a link?
Yes. Heavy metals and bones don't mix. So aluminum, mercury, they all interfere with, actually, aluminum or mercury, I can't remember. Aluminum actually interferes with fluoride absorption from the stomach, and fluoride is actually an important part of bones. Too much fluoride obviously makes them brittle, but we do need a little bit of fluoride. And these other heavy metals can actually interfere with calcium absorption, fluoride absorption, magnesium absorption. And so not only just absorption issues, but then they can actually interfere with the microcrystalline hydroxyapatite formation too. So yes, that's a whole big...
It's a big conversation, and one I'm personally involved in right now. I'm heavy lead at the moment. I'm going through a chelation, which is
the lead. I'll just mention. I mean, you might not have had high lead when you were 40, but then you go through menopause, and because there's more bone turnover, it's releasing.
It's kicking it out.
The lead is sequestered in your bones, and so now all of a sudden, oh my God, I have high lead levels. Well, you had them when you were 42, but they were just sequestered in your bones. But now we see it because now you're having more bone turnover.
Right.